Welcome to the Word, and today we're going to dig into how to start working on a Bible module for the Word Bible software. So first off, I've opened up to the Word. I'm using version 1.9.5c. If you use a later version or an earlier version, there may be some differences in this regard. I'm also in the editor mode of Bible Editor. We're going to also look at Reged's editor in a little bit, or later on. Right now, in editor mode, you're going to see several tabs. You have your Bible editor tab, your find and replace tab, your references, and your swap characters. You may not use all these, you may use them all. So notice, first off, right here, in this area, we're going to need each line of the text to look like something like this. 1 point, or one period, one period, one period, or full stop, depending on your English, in the beginning, God. And you'll see there are some special markups that can be used in the Bible. You have BK, which stands for book, and BI, and that's one. So that would be book one, which would be Genesis, or book name, Genesis. Notice these, the less than, greater than signs, those are important as well. And from this markup on, so if you use this, then this will be used in that regard from that point on. Chapter is chapter BI1 from this markup on, and verse. Also, there's references. This converts a name to the book number. So Genesis would be 1, etc., which is important for like when you do X references or like cross references in the text. Also, you have book name. It uses just in regard to up here, uses the references from the reference tab. So these are something you can go ahead and change. This has a little bit of a Spanish abbreviation, etc. So like if I wanted to add in 1 dash GEN, so the 1 and the dash, you need the number, and then a dash needs to be there. And then I can hit update references. I already have it, so I'll just take it back out and update references as well. Go back to Bible Editor again here, and you can, at the end of a build, for example, you've loaded the text in and you got some random empty lines, just throw this in here, unless you want to keep empty lines. I don't recommend empty lines. I recommend putting at least a dash, and this has to do with versification, mapping, etc., that you might learn about later on. Okay, the other important thing is go to help, and then you have two things. You have Bible module specifications. This is used in regard to the word and what the word requires. You'll need to check it often. Check back, read it often. You'll have things in here such as your font size. You probably won't use it as much. Short title, you'll need that at the end of the book, in the about, or in the section in regard to the Bible. And there'll be versions, author, keywords, etc. Now let's go down. This is mostly, and then there's some verse rules, which we'll get into here. These are verse rules for the word, not to be confused with the regex rules that we're going to use into the word. Also, you'll have some normal kind of HTML tagging, underline, in italic, bold, strike through. This stands for return. You could use a paragraph. So a few things like that. You probably don't want to use the paragraph marker as much. Upper superscript, subscript, and things like that. Font color, you may or may not use that. And these can jump in here. This will take some time. You go down through, just as it says here, use of HTML tags heavily discouraged since they bring no semantic info. But go down through and look at, for example, this is not an HTML tag. You would use it if you wanted to use for words that were added. It would be capital F, capital I, and then capital F, lowercase I. All of these things are case sensitive. You have new paragraph, you have similar to new paragraph, but it doesn't leave a line before. You have indentation in different levels. There's up to 7 levels of indentation. You also have first line indentation up to 7 levels. You have, if you want Old Testament quotes, you use these. Words of Jesus in red, underline words. These are for headings, and there are up to 3 different levels of headings. You have, this would be a format for Greek word codes, Greek strong codes, sorry, and then Hebrew strong codes here. So it would look something like this. WG123, and possibly an X or letter after. You have also, if you do morphology and lemmas, and then homonyms. You can get into those. Those get pretty advanced here. This is a little bit more of a one you might use a little bit more often. These are footnotes. Capital R, capital F, capital R, lowercase f first around. And you can put in, it'll either do an automatic numbering system, or if you want to put your own letters in, etc., you can do that. RX is for cross references. These are they're very specific. And it's RX, and then you have a number, full stop number, full stop number. It doesn't have a book name here. It has to be the number. If you want to do through, you go 3 through 4. If you want to span over a chapter, it must be a plus sign. And then like 3 plus 20 verses, etc. Things like that. You can also put in a few character, like if you want a different character for that cross-reference. And you might do something like this, like group 1, group 2. These would be if you add a URL, for example, inside the text. RTF tags, not recommended, but possible. This may be in the situation of a Hebrew text or things like that. Okay, NB, this stands for non-Bible text. This tag is used to mark some text in the verse as not belonging to the Bible, like notes. Okay, you go a little bit further. ST, this is switchable text. This tag is similar to NB, and it can be used to have some text which is considered part of the Bible text. It is searchable, and it can be highlighted. Note, it is no longer, ANSI is no longer recommended. It needs to be UTF-8 or probably UTF-8 with a bomb, as far as how that works. Continuing down, you can look down through this file. This file is your friend. You're going to use it many, many times. Keep coming back to it. Another help file is the Bible editor help file. So why would we use something like TotheWord? A main thing that I learned as I began to work on Bible modules and book modules for the Word, and this is something Costas passed on to me, was you want the process repeatable, because there are times where you will go and you will do 100 steps into your Bible, building your Bible, and you're like, oh, I've been going really fast, I've been using this editor or this, etc., etc., and then you noticed, wait a second, I have a problem, a big problem, 30 steps back. Well, that's where something like this comes in. It comes into a repeatable process, and that's what you want. Or let's say even worse yet, or even better yet, your Bible text gets completely updated. Oh, now here you go again. You go back through that 100-step process, or use a repeatable program. And that's what TotheWord is for. It takes a little bit to dig in, and it might not be seemingly as fast at times, but you will see there's a lot of things built in here that help the Bible building process. So under here you have Bible editor help. You have a basic conversion or an advanced conversion. A basic would be more kind of like using that notepad editor direct interface editing. However, I would recommend the advanced conversion, and we're going to look at some regex rules, and these are built through the regex editor or through a notepad editor, and then you load these rules, and then you load your file, and boom, it works through it. You saw some of these things that we already looked at earlier, but this gives you in-depth. You got your book chapter verse number, book name or abbreviation name, and then your special RX code, etc. Okay, this is kind of an introductory. In the next video, I'm hoping to dig into a little bit more about Bible formats. Oh, by the way, before we go too much further, we have Bible config here. I'll show you what that screen looks on in just a second, and then there's some additional information you can dig into these. And then map file is a special thing related to versification. This is also an important Bible help. Keep coming back to it. So the Bible build, in here you have your configuration, and this fills in the module properties, things like that. You also down here you'll have your verse rules and tag rules. These are important. Tag rules you won't use as much, but verse rules you'll probably almost certainly use. You have different things. You make sure to fill out as much of this information as you can. What version of the Bible? it's better now to have it like 32, or if you know it's a very simple Bible and they can work in an older version of the Word, okay, great. Then just put that in there. There are font lists if you need those, if your text requires special fonts, different sizes, and there's other things that are built in here. Right to left language for a Hebrew Bible. If you have a Strong's module, that needs to be tied to this Bible. If you have a morphological module, that needs to be tied in. And is there a morph case, etc. There's a lot of things. The official Bible non-free ID, you won't use that unless you're working with us in an official capacity. Okay, so that brings a summary to just getting into the editor. Next time, we're going to look at Bible formats, and then how do those work in conjunction with regex rules. Thank you for joining us.